Bonjour les citoyens. Welcome to the Révolution française, a revolution that started with a baguette. Wait, sorry, it wasn't a baguette. It was actually starvation and inequality, but the starvation part is close enough to a baguette. It's so great here. We have heads and heads and heads and baguette and croissant. I mean, what is not to like here except for the execution of my family? This is the French Revolution in plain English.
We must start on May 5th, 1789. France was bankrupt and the King Louis XVI had no plans. He summoned the Estates General and asked them what to do. They created a voting system, but the third estate, everyone except the nobles and church, was constantly outvoted. This led to a pivotal moment known as the Tennis Court Oath, where the third estate, now calling themselves the National Assembly, demanded a share of power in a constitution that would require the king to read its rules. But this was just the start. On June 27th, fearing Louis XVI would bring an end to the National Assembly, a crowd of 8,000 working-class individuals stormed the Invalides to seize weapons. Again, they later assembled and captured the Bastille on July 14th. The summer of 1789 was called the Great Fear, where a political group called Jacobins encouraged widespread violence against the nobles. In response, the National Assembly enacted laws on August 4th to address peasants' grievances and issued the Declaration of Rights of Man and of the Citizen, promising freedom to all in France, but still failed to quell an unrest.
On the night of June 20th to the 21st, 1791, the king and his family tried to escape from Paris and fled to the nearby small town of Varennes. But unfortunately, some citizens recognized his face and they got brought back to Paris, and this caused a huge downfall to his reputation. In 1792, France entered conflicts with Austria and other nations, and over several months of fighting, French citizens, especially the revolutionaries, grew increasingly frustrated and disillusioned. So on August 10th, they armed themselves and stormed the Tuileries Palace. And after the fall of that palace, more and more violent events occurred in Paris. For example, in September 1792, a series of mass killings occurred at the Paris prison because the prisoners were suspected to break out and rebel. Then, on December 3rd, 1793, a significant event in history unfolded, as King Louis XVI was sentenced to death by the word of treason and subsequently executed using a guillotine in the Place de la Révolution.
On April 6, 1793, the Committee of Public Safety was established, marking the start of the Reign of Terror. Its aim was to shield the French Republic from internal and external threats. It was led by Maximilien Robespierre. Following the creation of the committee, Marie Antoinette, with her beautiful boat hair, was executed at Place de la Révolution on October 16, 1793. She was charged with high treason, conspiracy against the Republic, and depleting the national treasury. This was the second major head cut off during the French Revolution, just after King Louis. On December 19, 1793, Napoleon Bonaparte won the siege of Toulouse and gained massive fame from the event. A year later, on the evening of July 28, 1794, Maximilien Robespierre got the same treatment as King Louis XVI and all the others he killed. This was a bit ironic because his own committee killed him. It was killed because the terror was killing more innocent people than rich nobles. The death of Robespierre marked the end of the Reign of Terror. This was the last important head to be cut off during the Reign of Terror.
Since the Committee of Public Safety had all been guillotined, France needed a new government. On August 22, 1795, a new constitution established the Directory of France, a 5-member executive governing community. Moving on 27th of March 1796, Napoleon arrived in Nice to take command of the French army, even though he was kind of mean. By this point, Napoleon had already built a reputation in the French army, and victories in the future brought even more prominence to himself. We now travel to September 4th, 1797. On this day, a decree was issued asserting that anyone supporting royalism or the restoration of the Constitution of 1793 was to be shot without trial. Hooray, more heads! November 9th to 10th of 1799 marked the fall of the Directory and the rise of the Consulate in France. This was the end to the decade-long French Revolution, finally. With help of allies like Sieyès, Lucien, and Marat, Napoleon managed to dissolve the Directory, installing a new consular government led by himself. So, after countless heads and many angry baguettes, we're back to where we started. Although the French Revolution's main aim was to end absolute monarchy, Napoleon's rise ironically continued power centralization. Not only such, but social inequalities also persisted under Napoleon's reign just like it had before. Of course, this decade-long revolution also brought some changes to France. The revolution spread the idea of nationalism and granted freedom of rights to citizens. But with so many heads gone and a regime that returned to the past, the French Revolution was overall not worth it.